ago. Disney CEO Bob Iger, the guy, he's back in charge. He never really left. I guess WDW Pro was telling us a couple weeks ago that he still had his office. He never literally left, even when he quote unquote retired. He still had the office based on some crazy contract he had signed.
5 years, right? That he gets extended, and then after this, he still has 4 years of that 5 years left on that.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. But so this is from Alec Weprin. Not familiar with him. He probably covers more of the Hollywood Reporter's financial side, I'm assuming. He's not usually one of their scoopers like Boris Kitt, but he's covering this. So Bob Iger appeared at this Morgan Stanley conference where he discussed how he's changing the Walt Disney Company, especially their consumer content facing arm, not really the parks or ESPN, more so Disney Plus, their film studio, and their television production companies. So like Hulu, Walt Disney Studios, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Freeform, ABC, etc., etc.
Well, it's like Valiant Renegade was explaining. The only thing that's not bleeding money is ESPN.
And the parks make them a lot of money. But the parks make them a ton of money. That's where their bread and butter is the parks, and the merch that they sell at the parks.
I suppose, but man, that Galaxy Cruiser thing is murder right now.
Oh yeah, that's not to say that. That's not to say there aren't things in the parks that are big money losers, but looking at the broader picture, the parks overall do make them quite a chunk of change because they're extremely overpriced. Yeah. But so this is what Bob Iger told the people at Morgan Stanley. He says, I'm really pleased that the support that I'm getting from the content creators of the company is significant and real, and it comes in the form of reducing the expense per content, whether it's a TV series or a film, where costs have just skyrocketed in a huge way and not a supportable way, in my opinion. They all agree to that. Interestingly enough, they skyrocketed under your leadership previously. Bob, you were the one who let them skyrocket. If you actually didn't want them to skyrocket, you would have clamped down on this a long time ago, or you wouldn't have even allowed it to get to where it is today. So you're trying to solve the problem that you created. But this is what's really interesting here. He added that understanding how much volume we need, reducing how much we make. So it's how much we spend on what we make and how much we make. So he's talking about cutting not just what they're spending on the projects that they make, but he's talking about making significant cuts to the amount of content that they make as well. So they're not going to be making as many shows, movies that they had been making. So I'm guessing we're not going to be seeing 3 Marvel films a year anymore. They're going to cut it down because, like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, they're becoming big money losers because they spent so much on these films. And I just want to point out that this interview, or his appearance at this conference, came out after Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania debuted in theaters. So he kind of already knew that the box office was not going to be good for this film, not going to be good whatsoever. So he goes on to say, and as we look to reduce the content that we're creating for our own platforms, there probably are opportunities to license to third parties. Oh, you mean like what you were doing before you decided to completely change your strategy and put everything on Disney Plus? So you're actually going to license your stuff back to Netflix, where you were actually bringing in a ton of revenue, and now you decided to be like, cut your nose off to spite your face to try and do what Netflix was doing better on Disney Plus. Now you're going to go back to that because you realize how much of an absolute loser your Disney Plus platform has been. You literally have not made, it has not been profitable once in any quarter since it launched back in whatever it was, 2018, 2019. I can't remember specifically when it launched, but it has not been profitable. And they don't even expect it to be profitable until sometime next year, in a quarter next year. And that is just having it being profitable in that single quarter. That is not meaning it's profitable for the entire cost that they've sunk into it. So it is a huge, huge, huge money pit, and they are just losing tons of cash on Disney Plus.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. So for a while, that was verboten or something we couldn't possibly do. That's because you literally launched Disney Plus. You did that, Bob Iger. You were the one who launched Disney Plus and made it verboten. You were the one who... I'm just like, are these financial people this stupid to like buy into this guy's absolute garbage? He's complaining and so he's like, oh, I'm going to solve all these problems, but he was the one who created them. He was the one who made Disney content exclusive to Disney Plus. He's the one that took the Marvel films off of Disney Plus. Like, he did all of this stuff. I mean, it's galling that he can sit here with a straight face, tell these financial people that I'm making all these changes when he was the one who literally caused all of these problems to begin with. It's like, you caused all these problems. I think these people believe this guy is going to be the one to solve it. I don't know. He hasn't been. His track record is abominable.
Well, but if you recall, he got done. He got done, John.
Yeah.
They don't send you out to pasture when you're doing a good job and you're not like, falling over yourself, Gerald Ford style, right? As long as you're able to walk around still, they're going to keep you working there if you're doing a good job, right? They sent him out to pasture. That should underline everything.
Well, they didn't though. He became like the chairman and he was still around and he was still doing everything at Disney. He was
Chairman
still there.
Iger.
He wasn't actually gone to passion. Then they brought him back, quote unquote, brought him back like he had actually left, and he hadn't really left. He was still there, as WDW Pro informed us, and we kind of knew that he was there almost the entire time because he was the one basically pushing the company into the Reimagine Tomorrow stuff and the fight with Florida, and that's how the company got involved in the fight with Florida. He was the one leading the charge on that. But if we get to a point where we need less content for those platforms and we still have the capability, for a while that was verboten, something we couldn't possibly do because we were so favoring our own streaming platforms. But if we get to a point where we need less content for those platforms and we still have the capability of producing that content, why not use it to grow revenue? And that's what we would likely do. So he's basically saying we're not going to actually be producing exclusive content for Disney Plus or Hulu anymore. Or if we are, it's going to be way less than what it is now. Instead, we're going to be producing content that we can sell to Netflix, Paramount, or Peacock, or even maybe HBO Max. Because I think those are the other streaming services. And that's he's basically parroting what Zaslav is doing. Zaslav is doing this already. They're already selling stuff to Netflix. They've already got stuff licensed over there. They've got the CW stuff still over there. They've got the Lucifer series over there, which the Lucifer series is weird because I think it was like a Fox TV production, but it obviously is a DC property. So there's probably some like co-production stuff going on with that. Sandman is over there as well. It's obviously a DC thing, but that's on Netflix. So you have that. So he's kind of basically copying what Zaslav has been doing with Warner Brothers Discovery. But we'll see. I mean, how many people are going to stay with Disney Plus if they're moving all of their stuff onto Netflix? That was the whole point, right? You're going to go back to Netflix, you're going to cancel Disney Plus, and you don't need it. He does say, though, that Marvel, Star Wars, and I guess their bigger franchises will stay there. But again, how big are those franchises to Disney Plus? Look at the Nielsen ratings from last year. None of them were on the top 15. No Marvel show, no Star Wars show. None of them were on the top 15 in streaming for 2022. So how many people are actually getting Disney Plus to watch those shows? It's more along their family, quote unquote, family stuff. But even then, it's their movies. Let me see if I can pull it up here.